Welcome to Red-tastic. Story 1. I, 35 female, babysit my husband's 40 males ex's son, 12 male, who is not my husband's biological child. My husband's ex is a surgeon and doesn't trust babysitters, so I've been the one watching her son whenever she has night shifts. The kid is all right, but I hate doing it. I'm only doing it for my husband. His ex is incredibly nosy and constantly gives backhanded compliments, belittling me because I work in IT and undermining my contributions. Besides, I've always suspected that the reason my husband's ex insists on me babysitting is less about trust and more about her enjoying having a hold over me. She can easily afford a live-in nanny, but I think she enjoys making my day sour. Anyway, my husband loves his ex-stepson and raised him for 6 years while he was married to his ex. So I was trying to help him maintain some contact with the child. Recently, during Thanksgiving at my husband's grandmother's place, his ex was also there. For context, my husband's grandma never really accepted their divorce, so she's always been including his ex in family events she hosts. While everyone was eating, the ex decided to make a toast to thank everyone. She ended it by saying, "And to my name for always being here to help, even though we all know it must be hard to find ways to stay busy when you're not the one bringing home the real paycheck." Everyone at the table turned to look at me at the same time. It was incredibly embarrassing. I ended up convincing my husband to leave early, and afterwards I told him that I wouldn't be babysitting anymore. My husband was understanding, but asked me to reconsider because he thinks it will disrupt the child. I also informed his ex, and she flipped out, saying I was being petty and punishing her son. The rest of the family is staying out of it, but a few of them have mentioned that she had it coming. Am I the ass for deciding not to babysit anymore after being publicly embarrassed by my husband's ex at Thanksgiving? Edit. My husband is a surgeon and works long hours too. Update. I talked to my husband and told him in no uncertain terms that I'm not babysitting anymore, and I won't be attending any events where his ex is present. If he wants to maintain a relationship with the child, he is welcome to have him over when he's home. My husband wasn't happy about it, but he understood. He even admitted that limiting contact with his ex-stepson might be a good thing, as his ex has been manipulating him using the child. I'm glad your husband is with you on this, OP. You're making the right decision, and your husband is right. His ex was clearly using her son as a power tool because she knew how much he loved the boy, which isn't fair to the boy or to your husband. I feel sad for the boy, but it's not your fault. His mother embarrassed you for no reason and has always made things difficult for you when you just wanted to help out by babysitting for free. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister to grow up? I am 28 male and my sister is 25 female. We did not get along as kids. She was the typical annoying little sister, and I was the mean older brother. I teased her a lot growing up, but I did my best to make sure that if I did tease her, or if we did have a fight, that I said sorry, or made her feel like I didn't mean any of it. I never wanted her to go to bed thinking we were not on good terms. She moved out when I was 22 and she was 19. I went to a farewell party, and I really thought we were good. I never apologized for what I did, but I was proud of her for going to college. We stayed in contact about once a month, just saying how our lives are going. We weren't close, but we weren't pushing it. And I enjoyed seeing her tell me what's going on in her life. She came back for Thanksgiving when I was 23 and she was 20, and it went well. I saw her in person like one more time at Christmas when I was 25 and she was 22. I didn't go to any family holidays on my side for like 3 years since I got really serious with my significant other. We got engaged 2 months ago, and I went to her family's place for those holidays since we lived closer. Yesterday was my dad's birthday and I haven't seen him in person for a few years, so I spent quite a bit of money to have me and my significant other fly down to their house and stay the week. My sister was there too. I was happy to see her in person again and have her meet my significant other. The whole party was fine and I know my parents were happy that both their kids were together in their house again. At night, when my parents went to bed, I was having a drink with my sister when my significant other was going to the store for breakfast material. The subject of our past years somehow came up. I told her I feel bad and I'm sorry for any troubles I gave her during that time. I could tell she was kinda miffed, and I don't know if it was the alcohol talking, but she basically said that once our parents die, she doesn't want much to do with me because of how much of an ass I was when we were kids. I was shocked when she said that because I thought we both moved on from that and thought we had a loving and caring, yet distant relationship. I didn't even know what to say. I was and am heartbroken because I do love her and always wanted us to at least be caring towards each other, but she basically said she has no desire to do much with me, which kinda hurt. I finally got it out and said, what we did as kids was years ago, and if you're still on about that, then you just need to grow up. I'm sorry how I treated you, but it shouldn't be the basis of why you hate me now. She didn't say anything after that, but you done? And then went to bed. The next day she talked to me like nothing happened. I was weirded out by that, but didn't want to make a scene in front of our parents, who still have the view of us being close. So Reddit, I ask you, am I the a-hole for telling my sister to grow up after she's holding on to grudges that have to be like 10 plus years old? Update. So this has a really happy ending. A day or two later, after she blew up on me and I told her to grow up, me and her had another sit down and I just listened. Turns out she hated how I was never there for her. I will admit I wasn't. I just left the state as soon as I could and didn't even try to come back other than for holidays. She also said she wishes that I called her more. She would text me on social media and would call me, but it wasn't that 1 week thing, so I just didn't answer. I felt terrible. Most of y'all said I was the a-hole and I should just hear what she has to say and apologize. And I could tell she was tearing up, so I did something I hadn't done since we were children. I just flat out hugged her and let her cry on me. At the end of it, I apologized and promised to do a better job, but to please give me another chance to be a good brother. She agreed to that. For the past month, I text her every other day and call weekly. It's effort and it's actually working. I won't say we are as close as we were as kids, but it's good. And I enjoy talking to her now, and it's cool to know stuff about her, so we can coordinate stuff for our parents without having them to stress about anything. I'm currently in town for Thanksgiving, and she and her significant other have been very generous to allow me and my significant other to stay at her place for the week we are here. Thank you all for the comments and calling me the a-hole for being so petty to my sister. Pretty much saved the relationship. Edit. The reason they never heard from me for 5 years is because I was an addict and they kicked me out. I was hurt and scared and hated my parents because of it, and I grouped with my sister with them. About 5 years later, I realized how much of a spoiled ass I was and reconnected with them. My parents were happy, but my sister wasn't. But I was able to talk her into giving me another chance, and now we're pretty good. I'm happy about your update, OP, and I'm glad you and your sister have reconnected. From your edit, I can see she had every reason to be mad at you. You didn't speak to her for 5 years, and when you reconnected with the family, you only saw her during holidays and only spoke to her once in a while. That is not a close relationship. I would be mad at you two if I was your sister. But that's all in the past now. It seemed like all she wanted was just to be close to you, and I'm glad that has happened. Now for some comments. Not gonna lie, my eyes bugged out of my head when I read the first post. And you said that you haven't seen your sister in years. and that you never go to family holidays because you got close with your significant other. Just for the record, people usually don't ditch their families for years unless they hate them. I can see why your sister was extremely offended. When someone says you hurt them, you don't get to decide you didn't. That's what my mom always taught me, and my brother, growing up, and your first post reminded me of that. I'm very glad to hear the happy ending though. My relationship with my brother almost ended like this, but for different reasons. Moving out of an abusive household can really change someone. I'm glad it worked out for you. My brother cut off my parents immediately after graduating college. Unfortunately, that meant he also cut off my other brother and myself, who still lived with my parents. I absolutely worshipped my oldest brother and was gutted when he cut me off. He has since re-established contact with my brother and me, but I am still unable to relax around him. Whenever we hang out, I'm afraid of doing or saying something wrong and getting cut off again. I still think he hung the moon, but I will always be afraid of being rejected by him again. I just thought you should read this because your sister probably feels similarly to me. Best of luck. Story 3. Am I the a-hole for being hungry at work lunch? Can hardly believe this is an issue, but here goes. I work on a small team at a medium-sized corporation. One of my more senior teammates, not my manager, got an intern for the winter and wanted to take her out to lunch. He invited all of us to go with him. When we got to the restaurant, I couldn't decide what I wanted to eat. So I ended up ordering 2 different entrees so I could try different things. Senior teammate asked if I skipped breakfast or something, and I laughed it off. I figured it would be fine since it's on the corporate card, right? Wrong. Turns out management didn't approve the lunch, but my teammate thought it was important to do anyway as a nice gesture to our intern, so he ended up putting down his card. The meal came out to $100 between the 5 of us, with my food totaling $45. To top it all off, the food wasn't even that good, so I ended up sending both entrees back half-eaten, only eating half of each. I don't think it's my fault that the food was bad or even that I was starving, so I can't understand why my teammate would be upset at me. He asked me to limit my eating if we ever go out to lunch again. Like, come on, dude. Hopefully you kind folks can tell me what I can say to him to get him to move on. So folks, am I the a-hole? Edit. Everyone's saying I'm a-hole for sending the food back, but I just let the server clear the table, alright? Hopefully that changes things. Now for some comments. You're the a-hole. Seriously, you made yourself look like a total pig. Etiquette rules dictate that when someone else is paying, that is not free rein to go wild and order something you wouldn't order if you weren't paying for it yourself, even if the company was paying for it. This makes you look really out of touch. You should graciously apologize to your coworker and offer to pay him back for at least one of the entrees. You're the a-hole, and pretty sure you know you're the a-hole with that super passive-aggressive post title. Who orders 2 entrees ever? Never mind on someone else's dime. Especially when your food amounts to half the check for a group of 5. Also, what the F did you order that everyone else's meals cost about $10 each? And both of yours were $20+ each. Just basic etiquette. Not even just for work, but for group dining in general when someone else is picking up the tab. If the food of the other 4 people came to about the same price as your food alone, they probably didn't eat any entree at all, did they? Even if it is on the company card, it is generally the rule that you look at what other people eat and choose something in the same price category. Your food, which you didn't even eat, cost more than 3 times the average of the other people's food. You made an ass out of yourself, and that you can't see that you put your foot in makes me wonder about your normal social skills. You're the a-hole. You should pay at least the second entree if nobody else had any, probably both entrees. Eating as a team is not just about food, and you failed in every other point.